All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, April 8th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, man, oh man, the heater continues. We have a 9-2 night, and I am seriously starting to kick myself for making the promise to myself about starting the MLB season conservatively with these quarter unit plays until we get more and more data in, because we've been on a scorcher to start the season. If these were half unit or full unit plays, man, oh man, it would be in a pretty good position. But nonetheless, still seeing the boards well day to day. The crystal ball seems clear for once, so I guess we can't be all that mad about it. But yeah, these quarter unit plays during this run is absolutely just making me itch. But a 9-2 day yesterday. Let's take another cha-ching. The only two of the only losses there were, I mean, that Diamondbacks game, we just saw that game wrong. Like, I had 3 different ways about going about it. Any of those would not have looked all that great, right? And then the Cardinals money line, that was only a 0.1 unit play because we kind of split a quarter unit up with that and the team total over. Got super lucky in the 9th inning for them to score one more run and cash their team total over. But in terms of our wins, we'll rattle them off really quickly here. We had Anthony Santander under 1.5 bases, cashes. Padres money line, the Rangers and Cubs nerfy, the Rubs nerfy, that cashes. The Royals team total over, Reds Giants first 5 under 4, Astros Mariners nerfy, Yenier Diaz and Jordan Alvarez both under hits, runs, and RBIs, and then under 1.5 bases actually for Alvarez. We had 3 plays in that Stros and Mariners game and hit them all. So yeah, very good day yesterday. Let's see if the heater can continue. I know every time I recap it and we talk about the wins, we talk about the losses, if there's a lot of wins in there, we're more likely to jinx it moving forward. But you know what? Scared money don't make money. Check out the tea on the Fade Me store. But let's go ahead and dive into today's games, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you've been enjoying the videos so far, make sure you do go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like button. We like to have a good time here, go through all the games, and hopefully win more than we lose. But let's dive into game number 1. Detroit taking on New York. And if you're looking at that money line being like Detroit -160, what? Yeah, Tariq Skubal's on the mound. Makes a little bit of sense. On the other side of things, we have Carlos Carrasco, who I've never really been the biggest of fan of. I mean, he's clearly had some serious ups in his career, but then also some like meh moments and whatnot. But he had his first start against Arizona this season, and it didn't go according to plan. They won that game, but it was the 9-7 game they ended up winning. He went 5 1/3, which isn't terrible. 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. I'm sure he wanted to do a little bit better than that, but even still, against an Arizona squad like that, maybe that's not the worst of starts. Now, Tariq Skubal, we have not seen him look all that great so far to start the season. Now, one of those starts against the Dodgers, okay, I'm willing to give him a pass there for sure. Not necessarily knowing that the Dodgers aren't hitting lefties all that well right now. Like, they're one of the few lefties that they've tagged. He's one of the few lefties that they've tagged this year. But even still, we didn't know that at the time, so hindsight's always 20/20. In terms of the next start against Seattle, 5 2/3, 3 earned runs, 8 Ks, 3 walks. He did let up a home run, 6 hits. Hasn't really looked all that phenomenal just in general. And quite honestly, I think his numbers against this Yankee squad are a little scary to some degree. Now, I will admit, I think it matters that both of those starts were on the road for him, right? Like, he's yet to have a home start. This probably should be a nice rah-rah spot for him. And I do think that he could pitch well today. That'll make sense in a couple of our plays. But let me just talk to you about his numbers against the current guys on this Yankees team. 46 plate appearances against, 28.3% K rate, 2.2% walk rate, so those are really, really good, but an expected batting average against of 292, not so great, expected slugging against of 650, not so great, and an xWOBA of almost 400, 397. not so great. So this is starting to look like a spot in which you're getting a good offense that we know. The Yankees are a good offense for nearly plus 150. I do start to lean towards Yankees on the money line just in general. I don't think that that's going to be the play that I ultimately end up rolling with. So, I'm not trying to convince anyone of that, but I'm starting to be like, I as much as I love Tariq Skubal, and we have for, last year we were huge on him. Obviously he was crushing it. This year we were huge on him, but I kind of want to see some consistency out of him, or at least want to see one of those drop your what's on the table and be like, yeah, I'm Tariq Skubal. So until then, I don't know if I necessarily want to back him entirely against the Yankees offense. What I will say, and it's kind of sprinkling on him because he's half involved here, is a potential look at the first 5 under. But this is where my head starts to get all pretzelized and whatnot. I'm still like a disbeliever in this Detroit offense. How stupid do you have to be at this point to be a disbeliever or non-believer in this Detroit offense? You got to be as stupid as me. So I'm a little worried of that because I don't want to sit here and say that I think Carrasco's in the best of situations. Detroit's the number 1 team so far this year at hitting the slider in terms of runs above average. That's Carrasco's number 1 pitch. But I do think at some point we're going to see this Detroit offense kind of come back down to earth. Maybe 3-4 runs per game versus the nearly 6 that they've been trotting out there, or 6 plus. So yeah, I think that Skubal's gonna mute this Yankees offense a little bit, right? Enough to at least get to, again, a first 5 under. So nothing too crazy there, but I'm trusting Skubal. I just can't really get behind a minus 160 price tag on the side of it. As far as I would go, would be saying, hey, just keep that team down there for suppressed for I guess 5 innings. And then I'm hoping that I'm not wrong about the offense. We haven't been wrong about much this season, but that is definitely something that we've been totally wrong about. So yeah, under 4.5 right now in the first 5 would be what I look at in this game. One player prop that I think is actually something that I like more than either side or the total in this one is Javier Baez under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. We keep getting the comments, and it's totally valid, guys. I'm not knocking anyone for saying this because we like to bet for entertainment too, but we keep getting comments like, why are you taking so many unders? Unders aren't fun and all that. And while that is all true and valid, I don't mind unders. Like, I think unders can be really fun. I think unders can be even more sweaty than over, especially in baseball when your guy gets up 4 or 5 times per game. You don't have to worry about him when he's not up, right? But the minute he gets up, you're like, whoosh, and all of a sudden your body goes into like shock. So Javier Baez under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I don't necessarily want to say that he's great against, or he's bad against righties. He's not, but the pitch mix is really what I'm looking at today. He's one of the Tigers. I know I mentioned the Tigers being good against sliders. His WOBA drops from 224, which isn't all that great, all the way down to 184 against the slider. The fastball, his strikeout rate jumps a little bit. The changeup, his WOBA drops to 193, and then the sinker is the only pitch that he really hits that Carrasco is going to throw. Those are the 4 main pitches, the sinker being 10% in the pitch mix less than the other 3 I talked about. So yeah, Javier Baez under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs could be a decent spot here. Felt like we spent a lot of time on that game. At least this one will be kind of quick because it's not a matchup that I'm loving. We got Clay Holmes on the bump for the Mets taking on Connor Gillespie for this Marlins squad. Like I said, this is not really a matchup that I'm loving, and I don't necessarily think we have anything that is worthy of final plays right now. This Mets offense is weird to me. I mean, they have the names, they have the bats, but it's like every now and then they come out of hibernation, right? Like 3 straight games now, 3 runs, 2 runs, and 2 runs, and they've won all 3 of those games in a row. If they hadn't gone up against a Toronto team that scored 2 runs and 1 run, and then yesterday a Miami team that scored 0 runs, this Mets record of 7-3 could be a hell of a lot different. So for minus 275, the only thing that I could rationalize would be Miami on the other side for plus 200 as a sprinkle, but I don't think there's a chance, and you know what, that I'm going to be getting to Miami today. I don't love the idea of backing Gillespie, and to be honest, I don't necessarily have he looked decent in his second start there, which was against this team, but the Mets ended up coming back and winning that game. So even that's kind of like, well, he pitched well against them, but then the Mets won the game, so that kind of just messes with my brain, right? So I'll probably stick away from this one. If I had to say anything, I'd lean towards an under, a first 5 under, or like I said, Marlins. I also don't mind the idea of a nerfy, but now we're getting carried away. I don't think either one of these offenses are good, but I don't know how much I want to totally back the pitching. Clay Holmes could be good, but also like I'm kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop in a sense there. So yeah, I think that's the only way I'd play it. I'd look at, Marlins, some sort of an under or a Nerfy, and even those are just kind of like not quite sure. With a full MLB slate, I think there's a lot more that we could be rolling with today in terms of final plays. Not going to lie, kind of in a similar boat with this Cleveland and Chicago game, and it's realistically just because of the odds, right? Like Ben Lively on the mound, who really doesn't have good numbers against this White Sox roster. Only 32 plate appearances against, so let's pump the brakes. But expected batting average against of 319. His walk rate and K rate are the same at 12.5. By the way, you don't want a 1-to-1 ratio there. Expected slugging 690. Expected WOBA 454. So yeah, I don't want to put him in a position of us needing, minus 200 or minus 1.5, especially when this team has lost a bunch of games to start the season. What are they, 3-6? They have one more win than Chicago now. Chicago, the worst team in the long run, I would say so, but very similar to how we just broke down the Mets and Marlins game. I would look at the underdog here, even though it's not something I really want to get to or consider myself, as well as some versions of unders, because I don't think that this offense on either side is all that tremendous. So 2 quick ones get there. I do apologize, but it's just kind of the way it is. We're doing well in the MLB this year. We don't need to dip our toe into water that we don't even plan on jumping into. You know what I mean? But where we do plan on jumping into, and our toes certainly will be in the water, I really got to get rid of that analogy because it's creeping me out, is over on Prize Picks, because it is Taco Tuesday. If you guys don't know what Taco Tuesday is, I'll tell you in just a second. But first, let me tell you what you'll get on Prize Picks as a new customer. You play a $5 lineup. Yes, just $5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You place a $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 into your account instantly that you can roll with moving forward. You 10x that $5 like that. And what's really cool is that if you hit that entry, if you hit the slip that you put that $5 lineup in, you get that payout as well. So go ahead and check out Prize Picks, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment, or just use code GUYBOSTON when signing up on the computer, tablet, phone, anything like that. Now, I mentioned Taco Tuesday. If you live under a rock, let me lift that rock with these big, strong muscles and tell you what Taco Tuesday is. They discount multiple squares throughout the day, meaning today you could use that $5, right, to get the 50 on a discounted square, meaning you have a higher chance of hitting that play. You get that payout and the $50. For example, they'll take something like, Treek Scooble's strikeout line and drop it down to 3.5 when obviously it's usually way higher, that type of thing. And it's really cool because on Twitter and in the Discords and whatnot for Prize Picks, you can vote on what the taco is. So yeah, they do multiple per day on Tuesdays, guys. No better day to sign up than today or another Tuesday, but why wait another week for something you should have done yesterday, right? Go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into the rest of these games. Next up, we have Pittsburgh taking on St. Louis. Skeens on the mound going up against Sonny Gray. I already really do like the Nerfy in this spot. I just have a feeling that's going to be a super public play today, and rightfully so, right? You have Sonny Gray, who is a really good pitcher. Now, he hasn't been all that great to the Nerfy to start the season here. I think he has 2 starts, and neither one of which came through, but they were just 1-0 games after one, so it's not like it was all that, crazy, right? Skeens, on the other hand, to start the season, he's been decent. I mean, quite honestly, I would say that with him as the starter, that's their best chance of doing anything this season, which shouldn't be breaking any or dropping any jaws, right? But he is now 2 games through his starts, and he's hit both Nerfies. The one thing I'll say is Skeens has not pitched at home this year, unless I'm mistaken, and Sonny Gray hasn't pitched on the road yet this year. I believe I have that correct. So hopefully that's the case. A year ago, when Paul Skeens was at home, he was just 50-50 to the Nerfy, which obviously we don't necessarily love to see. The Pirates did hit the Nerfy in 53% of their games when at home last year, so obviously that's great. When on the road, St. Louis 58%, so nearly 60% of their games are Nerfies, but they do have some shaky numbers when Sonny Gray pitched on the road. So again, little dicey here, but 2 good pitchers to start the season here. In this one, I kind of like the idea of a Nerfy. So first and foremost, that's where I'd go. This game is like 1 inning in our brains, right? Paul Skeens coming off of a really good performance. I mean, that first outing against, who did he pitch against? Miami, right? Miami, he looked good, but it was like you're kind of looking for more of electricity from him, and he kind of brought it, not from a strikeout perspective, but he went 7 innings pitched against a Tampa Bay offense, so keep that in mind. A little bit of a caveat there, but against the Tampa Bay offense, he goes 7 innings pitched, just 3 hits, 0 earned runs. 1 did come in, so 1 run, but 0 earned. 6 strikeouts, and he pitched 14 pitches per inning. Sonny Gray's still kind of waiting for a Sonny Gray-esque start. And I do think there's a level, just from watching him this year, there's a level of him maybe dropping a little bit. Like last year, and yeah, I guess last year really, this was a guy that we loved first fives for. We loved even Nerfies and whatnot. I could see that starting to fade a little bit. He doesn't look like he has his stuff or really anything. And maybe that's just me being too judgmental to start the season, but watching his first 2 starts, it looks like there's something missing. I mean, you look at the numbers, 9 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts, you're probably thinking that that's still very good, but Minnesota, the Angels, being able to put up, was it 3 and 5 earned through 5 and 6 innings? There's something missing with Sonny Gray, so I'm going to keep an eye on that, but I still, like I've been saying, I still think this Pittsburgh offense stinks. The last 4 games, 4, 4, 5, 8, sure, you're probably thinking, okay, well, that's a decent amount of runs, right? And it is, but I don't believe in them. It's kind of like the Detroit effect where it's like they've been scoring a lot of runs, but all I feel like it takes is one pitcher like Sonny Gray to come out here and potentially look good against them. Like their recent starters that they've had to go up against. Let's see if we could find that. It was, Liberatore, Will Warren, Stroman, Max Fried, sure, but Ryan Pepio. Okay, that was good. Shane Bays, I guess they have gone up against, but these are the games, so those ones I just mentioned, these are the games where the offense fell off. The good offensive games were Stroman, Warren, and Liberatore. Sonny Gray, I think, is a little bit of a different category. So, yeah, spent a lot of time there. I'm going to lean towards that direction, the Nerfy. I also don't mind an under. It is super low, though, but to me, I would say the pitching's better than the offense is in this spot. First 5 unders probably already priced out because it is just 6.5, but I'd look there. And then in terms of a side, I think I have to get to the Pirates to some degree in a low-scoring one, but I don't think I play that myself because I could totally see St. Louis's offense, as I battle a burp, which is happening a decent amount lately, more on camera than I'd like. But St. Louis's offense, I still do believe, is far better than Pittsburgh. I'm just thinking that Paul Skeens is kind of like mutes that, you know what I mean? He has some really good numbers against the St. Louis offense, but so does Sonny Gray. So yeah, give me the under as well as the Nerfy being the main play in this one. All right, next up, we have Boston taking on Toronto. This game went in favor of Toronto yesterday. They win that one 6-2. Boston had won, was it 4 or 6 or 5 or 6 games? In fact, let's see, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 straight games prior to that. Yesterday, the offense cooled off a little bit. Jose Barrios pitched 7 innings, looked pretty damn good. Easton Lucas on the bump for this Toronto team today, which, I mean, he pitched really, really well in his first start of the season. 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 1 hit. So, sure, I guess I can give him a little bit of credit, but this is still a lefty, and the Red Sox have started to hit. I mean, last year that was a problem, right? But they've hit lefties. They've crushed lefties so far to start the season, and we're going to get a ton, and I mean a ton of fastballs from Lucas. You can even see here. Now, this is obviously just 1 game sample size because he only has 1 start, but 55% fastballs. The Red Sox runs above average here, and by the way, this is our MLB dashboard that we give to GuyBostonSports.com site members. I'll talk about how to get access to that easily right after this game. So just stay tuned for that, because if you want to use this yourself on a day-to-day basis, this is our dashboard. I'll show you that in a little bit. But Red Sox absolutely crushing fastballs, right? And you can even see here, 316 average against lefties, 5th in terms of WRC plus, not striking out a lot, 14.4% walk rate, which is crazy. 411 on base percentage, OPS 6th, and then slugging 11th too. So I expect them to have a decent game here. And what I like is that you can see he does have some struggles against right-handed pitchers. And again, small sample size. We're still early in the year, and we have transitioned 2024 data over to 2025 data. So keep that in mind. Take it with a grain of salt, but facts are facts as of right now, right? The Red Sox are not the Red Sox of last year where they had just a ton of lefties in the lineup, and it's like, oh boy, what are we doing here? They have a ton of righties listed to go today, and I expect them to try and get to Lucas, right? Just the 2 lefties, Duran and Devers, which, I feel those guys can still hit, right? Maybe they both kind of had rough starts the year. Big story about Duran that came out. If you guys have not checked that out, definitely check it out. In fact, I kind of want to just talk about that real quick. Duran apparently had some mental health issues and whatnot, and almost got to the point of taking his own life. Read that story yesterday, and I'm sure you weren't expecting me to talk about this on a MLB Picks show, but I really hope that anyone that is struggling with anything like that and know someone that is struggling, like, does something about it, because hearing his story is so touching. He literally got to the point where he was tried to end his own life and the gun jammed. It's like the craziest story. So yeah, I hope that if you guys are struggling or you know someone that's struggling, make sure you do go ahead and either help or seek help, because everyone deserves to live and have a better life. So yes, back to the picks. It's kind of a tough transition to make, but I couldn't mention Duran without kind of going through that. I think that him and Devers, two guys that can obviously battle well in and at bat against a lefty. So all those righties in the lineup, I would say, should be able to rake today, and that's not a problem you want when you're going up against, we haven't even mentioned who's starting for the Red Sox, Garrett Crochet, who is looking really, really good in a game against Baltimore. In his last game against Baltimore, his last start, looked phenomenal. 8 innings pitched, just 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Guys, I was at a bar watching this game with my dad last Wednesday, right? And we were like, all right, let's get some going on the game. So in a parlay, we kind of both picked a few plays. We took Garrett Crochet under 1.5 walks, and he walks a guy in the 2nd inning. And we're like, all right, just get through 5 innings. We'll be okay. But the guy keeps coming out. 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning. And I'm like, oh my God, we're screwed. Garrett Crochet dropped his you-know-what's on the table and said, I'm not walking another guy. Pitches 8 innings, doesn't walk another guy, only had the 1 walk. So yeah, cashed for me and my dad there. But in this one, if you couldn't guess, I like the matchup for the Red Sox. I'll take them on the first 5 run line. Right now you get that minus 125. First 5 run line, just to clarify for everyone, I know that sometimes it's confusing. First 5 money line, you could be tied 1-1, 0-0, and it's a void. It's a push, right? If you take them on the run line, meaning minus 0.5 in the first 5, they have to be winning at the end of the 5th inning. So it's a little bit different, right? Just letting you guys know. In terms of a total, I like the Red Sox team total over. That could definitely be something that I get convinced of here. I do think that we have some really cold and windy weather in Boston, especially living here. I could see it for myself. So this could be low scoring, especially with Garrett Crochet. I don't know if they're going to need a ton of runs. Like I expect him to shove today. So with that said, I'll probably sit comfortably, I guess, with the Red Sox first 5 and keep it at that overall. In terms of player props, I believe we did have a player prop in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we're going back to our boy, Ernie Clement. Under 1.5 hits, runs in RBIs. Like this matchup, he's bad against lefties. Garrett Crochet is batting average against drops against right-handed batters. Crochet throws a lot of fastballs. We know that. Clement does hit the fastball well. That said, his strikeout rate does drop, but he doesn't hit the slider well, doesn't hit the cutter well, and we're going to get those pitches from Crochet as well. So, yeah, I like Ernie Clement under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. So there's potentially 2 plays that we're rolling with in this one as legitimate plays, right? First 5 run line, and then Ernie Clement under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Washington taking on the Dodgers. I don't think that this is going to be one that we spend too much time on. I will take a minor victory lap, yes, from yesterday because we liked Washington. We didn't have the cojones to roll with it ourselves, so I can't sit here and take too much of a victory lap. But just keep in mind, until we see otherwise, this Dodgers team has some struggles against left-handed pitching, especially when the left-handed pitcher is a decent, half-decent pitcher, okay? So just keep that in mind. Learn for yourself until we see otherwise. I think, like I said in yesterday's video, this Dodgers team will shore that up. Like, I don't think that they're fundamentally bad against lefties. They just have been bad against lefties, okay? But today, that's not the problem. They're going up against a righty in Brad Lord, or at least that's who's projected to start here in terms of his, let's see if we have that in front of us. We do. In terms of his, recent starts, we don't have too much to go off of, but he's boasting not recent starts, his recent performances. He has not started a game this year. He has a 2.5 ERA, a whip, 4.5 ERA, a whip of 2.5, 2 walks in 2 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, nothing too much to go off of there. This is his first year in the majors, and honestly, I would say, he pitched against Toronto twice and then Philadelphia. Philly being the one that he actually pitched okay against, but this is a different ball club in the Dodgers, and you're not telling me that this Dodgers team is thinking, how on earth did we lose this game yesterday? We've now lost 3 of our last 4. Let's come to play today. So I expect the Dodgers to score some runs today. The way I would probably play this is either Dodgers on the money line if you can get a good price, but I think it's priced out at this point, or maybe Dodgers over 4.5 runs. I could definitely see them putting up a decent number today. First 5 could be a play, but this Washington bullpen is absolute cheeks, really. So don't be afraid to say, okay, it could be the 8th inning and we need a couple, and they could score a couple. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Dodgers. We'll see if we get there ourselves. I'm expecting them to come out fired up, but they do have a big series coming up against the Cubs when they're at home, and I could totally see them really like going off in that series with some better odds. So just keep the thought in mind about the lefties and maybe a potential bounce back spot today. I'd also lean slightly towards an over, and that's kind of really all I got in this one. Tampa Bay taking on the Angels. I like Shane Baz. He's on the mound today for the Rays. He's going up against, I believe, let's see. He's going up against, we just had it up. I'm all confused here. Kyle Hendricks, who, isn't a bad pitcher by any means, but never really a guy that we've liked, right? And to start the season here, Kyle Hendricks has looked actually pretty decent, I guess. I mean, he went up against St. Louis and he kind of hung in there, right? Their bullpen ended up blowing that game, and that went to extras, and I think the Angels still ended up winning it if my memory serves me correct, right? But just one start under his his Angels belt. It was against St. Louis. Shane Bay's coming off of really good performance in his start of the season against Pittsburgh, though, but he went 6 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs, no walks. He did allow 7 hits, but shows you Pittsburgh, right? They'll get 7 guys on base and never bring anyone in. They scored 0 runs in that game. So I think that this is advantage Shane Bay's. I just don't know about the offense, right? Like, both of these offenses to me are super, super inconsistent. I mean, the Angels look like they have a bunch of, offensive talent just based on their box score, but we've been watching some of those Angels games and it's a little dicey. It's like they're pulling teeth and they're getting runs, so I do give them credit, but to me, if you can get a good price with this Rays team in the first 5 with Shane Bays, I think it's a massive advantage. I'll lean in that direction. That total at 8.5. I almost want to look at an Angels team total under in the first 5. Maybe I'm giving Shane Bays a little bit too much credit, but he's going to throw a nasty curveball and a fastball. Weirdly enough, LA does hit the curveball pretty well, but the fastball, they don't. I don't think that they're all that great against righties. He's going to throw on the other end, Kyle Hendricks, a lot of fastballs, changeup, sinkers. I don't necessarily want to sit here and say Tampa Bay's lineup is going to be very good, but they do hit righties better than they do lefties. So, yeah, it's Tampa Bay for me, but maybe we back Shane Bays, especially after a really good start, or Boz. I say names incorrectly, sue me. In the first 5, that could be a spot. And like I said, for a total, maybe taking a peek at their first 5 under, I guess, or full game under for their team total. In terms of player props, let me just make sure I don't have anything in this one. No player props in this one. Let's move on. All right, this is, I would say, undoubtedly the game of the night, right? We have Braves, Phillies, Chris Sale taking on Zach Wheeler, I'm a massive, massive fan of. Still maintain that he's a really underrated pitcher, and you got some decent value if you like the Phillies today. And I can talk a little bit about both sides here, but the Phillies obviously playing better better baseball than this Atlanta team. Atlanta is 1-8 so far this season. Their one game, they went off and they scored 10 runs against against Miami, right? Well, then next game they scored 0 runs. Whereas this Philadelphia team, 8-7 in their last game, their last matchup here against the Dodgers, which obviously is very, very good. I will say that, a Philly team, I think, is going to be pretty offensively dominant all season long. Chris Sale against them is the type of pitcher that they may struggle against, right? It's that lefty side. They're a lot better against righties than they are lefties. He's going to throw a ton of sliders. That's not their best pitch. So I do think Sale could have a decent performance today. But what happens once that bullpen comes in? I don't think that this bullpen is all that tremendous or firing on all cylinders here. So they're fully rested, so we can give them a little bit of credit there. But for what it's worth, I like the idea of Philadelphia here. Not necessarily get to Chris Sale, but for plus money to score when it matters late in the game. If this was flipped and you had Chris Sale for plus money, I might consider that, but Zach Wheeler should be in a decent spot. He's going to throw a ton of fastballs, a ton of cutters. He's going to mix in the curve, the sinker, the splitter. Has a ton of pitches that he throws, right? This Atlanta team has not hit squat yet, so why would we, back them in a sense? Good offense against a bad offense, and then 2 good pitchers. There's only one knock in that equation, and it is the Atlanta offense. If you like Atlanta today and you just want to back Chris Sale, like I said, he's in a pretty fantastic spot in terms of, being able to perform against this Phillies team. And he has performed against the current guys on the roster, and he's performed against this team as well. In his last 3 starts against them, 6 1/3 average, averaged 2 earned runs per outing, 9 strikeouts and 1 walk per game. And his pitches per inning, he's averaging like 11 pitches per inning, which is crazy. You know what I mean? So if you like Chris Sale, sure. Even him against the current roster, almost 90 plate appearances against, a strikeout rate of 41, walk rate of 3, expected WOBA of 297, expected batting average against 236. Like, you can back Sale today. But Zach Wheeler's numbers aren't that far off from his, and I think that they have the better offense. So give me Philadelphia here for the plus money. In terms of a total, I don't mind a first 5 under. I mean, I think Philly's offense can get going, so maybe we could pivot to an Atlanta first 5 under, because even if this is a really low-scoring game, Atlanta under 1.5 in the first 5 could be a look. I also considered and kind of played around the idea of a line that we took before and got burned on, but under 2.5 in the first 3 innings, meaning we just want 2 or less runs in the first 3 innings out of Sale and Wheeler. Could be something that we consider there as well. So keep an eye on the final plays. There are some plays that we may be mixing in with this game because I love both pitchers. Chicago taking on Texas. This was a big one for Chicago yesterday, which kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? Like, this Texas offense, I still don't know exactly what to make of. Now, today on the mound is a little bit different. We have Patrick Corbin going for Texas, who has not started yet this year, and Jameson Taillon, who I don't think has looked all that tremendous for the Cubs. So if we flip it over into this matchup, which, by the way, I never told you guys how to get access to this dashboard, so let's go ahead and do that right now, because I was going to show you the dashboard again. But over on the Guy Boston Sports site, you can check out the dashboard by going to the member section up here. Easily by going to MLB Dashboard. If you're logged in, you're going to see the dashboard that gets uploaded each and every day, and you have each and every game broken out in a visual format. You can open this up, you could print it out, you can zoom in, you can download it, edit it, that type of thing, right? Each and every game, like I said, broken out in a visual format. Some things we're still waiting for data to pull because some starters don't have away starts and row starts, that type of thing. But we have pitcher data. We have team data up the top left, pitcher data here, bullpen data. We have pitch mix for the pitchers. Right over here, you skip a section. You have them against those pitches in terms of the offense overall, and then also by player batting average against that hand. And we're going to add more and more. You see a lot of white space on this thing, right? We want to pump more and more and make this even more of a one-stop shop. So over here again on the member section, if you're not logged in, we can set this to logged out version. You'll see membership level required, and you head over here, you pick which membership you want to sign up for. You get both the NBA and MLB every day with this one, the All Sports, or you can go by sport if you do want to go a little bit cheaper, but this actually has more value in it because you're saving about $1 per month. So go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be down in the description as well as the pinned comment, but it's right with the final plays if you do want to find this easily. Just head to the link in the description, or link in the pinned comment, and you'll see to use our access, to use our dashboard and whatnot, click right here. It's super, super easy. But back to this one, we do have, like I said, we have a game between the Cubs and I'm all over the place. The Cubs and the Rangers. This one is a big one for the Cubs. Jameson Taillon, though, hasn't looked all that great, but this Texas offense isn't necessarily something that I'm fully trusting right now, and I'm not sure what we'll get out of Patrick Corbin. He has a ton of sample size against this Cubs roster. 167 plate appearances against, 13.8 K rate, 10.2% walk rate. Those are bad. Expected batting average against of 352, expected slugging of 672, and an expected WOBA of 461. So I don't think this is the best spot for him. Give me the Cubs in this one, even though I don't necessarily love Taillon. I'll take the Cubs, but I'll also probably consider an over. Now, I believe we have some weather in this one, at least a lot of wind, but and a little chilly, but I don't think we have any, rain or anything, so I guess that's a good thing. So I'm still going to lean towards the over, and then Cubs in the over, and that's kind of all that I really have as of right now. No player props in this one because I was looking at some unders, but I'm like, don't love the pitching. I like the over. Unders didn't really correlate. Kansas City taking on Minnesota. Pablo Lopez on the mound for Minnesota. He's looked okay to start the season. They lost that game against St. Louis, but he pitched okay through 5 innings, and then he had a really good start against the White Sox. So take that with a grain of salt, which I say a lot, I realize. Cole Reagan's 2 decent starts to start the year. They have lost both of their games when he starts, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily his fault. Like, they lost 3-2 against Milwaukee. He went 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned run, just 5 hits. So, yeah, I don't think that was all that terrible on his end, right? So to me, I'd probably say that this is still an offense that I would trust on the Kansas City side of things, but Pablo Lopez is pitching, and that does bring things down back to earth a little bit. But what I'll say is Minnesota against lefties to start the year, 0.71 average, minus 15 WRC plus, a K rate of 33%. They have guys in their lineup, Buxton, Correa, Jeffers, France, Miranda. Some of these guys are batting sub 100 against lefties to start the year. So Cole Reagan should be able to pump against them, right? I like Pablo Lopez. I think this is probably somewhat of a low-scoring game, but this is most likely going to be a Minnesota team total under or a first 5 under, or I'm going to say screw it, give me Kansas City first 5 run line. Like, I don't see the world in which these guys easily touch Cole Reagan's. But again, Pablo Lopez should make this a little bit closer, so I do get that. But at the same time, we can eliminate some variables and say, okay, well, under 4.5 runs for Minnesota, or in the first 5, we can go under 1.5, that type of thing, and not have to worry about what Kansas City and Pablo Lopez is going to do, regardless of if we like Pablo or not. So that's probably how I'd play it. Give me Kansas City, money line, first 5, or run line, that type of thing, right? But I might just say, okay, what if we just back Cole Reagan's a lefty against a Minnesota team that cannot seem to hit lefties? That might ultimately be what we end up doing. So, yeah, that's minus 130 right now, under 1.5 in the first 5. It's a low number, but I think that might end up being a play that we roll with because I am going to back Cole Reagan. So, yeah, that's probably how I'd go. We did have a player prop in this one. Let me see if I can pull it back up. A couple Twins unders. Carlos Correa, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. The dude has really, really struggled against lefties. The thing that may keep me off of this, just being honest, is that he hasn't struggled against lefties in his career. You know what I mean? It's like, this is to start the season a little bit of a slump type of thing. So I don't want to get over the moon and being like, oh, he stinks against lefties. He has more good data against lefties than he does bad. It's just this season he's kind of struggled out the gate. If you guys made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 35. We've been all over the place this morning. We talked about Jarren Duran. We've missed the dashboard plug, but probably because we talked about Duran. A couple games later, we plugged the dashboard. A lot going on. I do appreciate you guys sticking around, so comment 35 if you made it this far into the video. This one's a fairly easy one for me, and I don't know if I'm saying that as if it's a good thing or bad thing, but Milwaukee money line as they take on Colorado. Freddie Peralta is in Coors, and I think that's worrisome because obviously he's a guy that throws with some velocity, meaning if, equal and opposite reaction, all that science BS. If they make contact, this thing will probably fly altogether. But I think Milwaukee's playing some good baseball, and Freddie Peralta's looked really good to start the season, and he has some really good numbers against this Colorado team. So it's like you still have to hit the ball to make it fly farther. You know what I mean? So I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee in this spot, probably on the first 5. I don't love their bullpen so far to start the season whatsoever. Now, in terms of their offense, I don't necessarily. Kyle Friedland's usually just a Kyle Friedland, right? But I don't necessarily love the pitch mix. Sinker, slider, a little bit of fastball, not exactly pitches that Milwaukee hits all that well, and they're not off to the best start against lefties. So I also kind of consider an under in this one, which sound the psycho alert alarm. The ball flies farther in Coors and blah, blah, blah. It does. But I think it's either going to be one-sided, meaning Freddie Peralta is going to deal and Milwaukee scores the runs, or even Kyle Freeland's going to weirdly have a decent game. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards the under in this spot. Can we get burned doing that? Yeah, we can. The altitude and all that. I know we make the jokes about saying that we're going to fade science and all that hoopla, but at some point you get burned by that because it is proven and science knows better than us. But that is where I'd go. Milwaukee as well as the under. Arizona taking on Baltimore. We have Morton on the mound for Baltimore, going up against, I want to say it's Merrill Kelly for Arizona. That is correct, Ev. Point for you. He got shelled in his start against the Yankees. 3 2/3, 9 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 home runs, 3 walks, just 2 strikeouts. But not like Charlie Morton looked phenomenal. I mean, he had 10 strikeouts. I think people are going to be like, 10 strikeout game, but 5 earned runs through 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 home runs allowed. Not tremendous, right? And this is a guy that, in terms of his pitch mix and whatnot, we're going to get a lot of curves and a lot of fastballs. This is an Arizona team that, one, hits righties really well, but they hit the fastball really well, and they can hit that curve too. So I think this is a bounce-back spot for Arizona. My concern is that the offense didn't look all that great yesterday, and I do understand that, and I also don't know if I fully trust Merrill Kelly. I mean, look at what he just did, right? And this is a good Baltimore offense. I'm not going to sit here and be like, the Yankees are so much different. No, this Baltimore offense, yeah, they're probably not as good as Yankees, but they're still a really good offense. So this is probably a spot in which somehow we can work in Arizona team total. I like it at 3.5 if you can get under -170. It's got to be plus money over 4.5 for me, though, here. So if that's the case, that's what I would roll with. That's kind of a hybrid approach of how I'd go about this game, right? In terms of looking at the the money line / the total, kind of a team total splits the two right there. And then what we're backing, because I don't love Kelly, what we're backing is the offense in this spot. So I want to make sure that we can get some, obviously, good spots there. I guess I would also consider the idea of Charlie Morton over 4.5 hits. That could definitely be a look as well. I mean, he has some decent numbers, and they are pretty good against Arizona, but it's not like he's swinging and missing or anything like that. His K rate's just at 20%. So maybe Charlie Morton over 4.5 hits, it could be in play here. This year, 2 starts, 7 hits and 6 hits allowed. This is an Arizona ball club that can obviously get on the ball. So, yeah, I think that we'd consider something like that, 5 hits from him. I do worry a little bit about his innings, right? I think his outs is at like 16 right now, meaning and it's plus money, or 15.5. So if he goes 16, they're really only looking for him to pitch 5 innings. So he's going to have to average 1 hit per inning, which is not crazy, but obviously if he doesn't throw a lot of innings, could be kind of tough here. So that's a player prop I would consider. Seattle taking on Houston. We have Luis Castillo on the mound. The correct Luis Castillo this time on the mound for the Mariners, going up against Framber Valdez. Another spot in which I would consider, like we ended up cashing with yesterday, the Nerfy. I like Valdez here in this spot. And also Luis Castillo has some really good numbers against this Astros squad. So, in terms of what we'd be getting for odds here, -135 right now over on DK for the Nerfy. I do like that spot. Valdez on the road a year ago, 54% of the Nerfy's cash. That's good to see because it's above, 50. But Luis Castillo, when at home last year, 67% of his games he cashed the Nerfy. And we've seen, in terms of this matchup, we've seen 6 straight Nerfy's cash, including yesterday's game. On the season with Luis Castillo pitching at home this year, he's 2-0, which is good to see. And then Framber Valdez on the road this year, I don't think does he not have any road starts? I don't believe so. But in terms of him just starting in general, so not necessarily on the road, they haven't looked all that terrible either to the Nerfy. 1-1 in the game against San Francisco was a home run that kind of blew it, right? So, yeah, kind of like the idea of them getting through 3 outs apiece here in this spot. I know I just said the 6. I believe that 6 in a row when Seattle's at home, by the way, not when just anybody's pitching. So, kind of like the spot overall, I would say, when they do face each other. And again, -135 seems like it could be decent value. So that's probably going to be a play overall. In terms of where we'd go, first 5 under, also something that I'm considering. But from a money line perspective, I do think Houston at some point gets the bats out. And if you can get good odds on them right now, this is pretty much a pick 'em. I would say by game time, whoever has the plus money next to their name would probably be where I go. But I think Houston has a little bit of power that they can pull out that doesn't always come from Seattle, right? And Luis Castillo, like I said, does have really good numbers against this Houston team in general, but to me, Houston's had kind of like the little trend of bad game, good game, bad game, good game. They just had what I would consider, I guess, a bad game, maybe not the worst, but they could be on pace here to have a decent game here today. Now, I mentioned Luis Castillo's numbers against this Houston squad. They haven't looked all that great as of late, but against the roster in general, in 26 plate appearances against, 26.2% K rate, 1.6% walk rate, 254 expected batting average against, and an XWOB of 296. That's pretty good. So if you're seeing that being like, Seattle at home in a low total game, I can't necessarily back Houston. I guess I get it. I can't really knock it. San Fran taking on Cincinnati. This was a good call, I would say, by us yesterday. We elected for a little bit less juice and took the under 4 because they had the EV attached to it, right? And this game was low scoring just all the way through. That would have cashed for the full game. It was a 2-0 win for Cincinnati. I guess credit to them. Today we do see a different pitching matchup. Landon Roop going up against Nick Lodolo. The San Francisco team against lefties has struggled to start the season, but I would say just in general, they're still a much better lineup than we've seen from Cincinnati, and throwing the fact that Logan Rupp's not going to throw realistically any fastballs, right? He's going to throw a lot of curveballs, a lot of changeups, sinkers, that type of stuff. So Cincinnati, those are not the pitches that they hit all that well. I've been a big believer in Cincinnati when they get a pitcher that throws some heat. Not so much today. So I'm going to lean towards San Francisco to kind of bounce back in this spot. I think that their offense just is the better offense overall. I still don't think it's going to be a massively high-scoring game, though, to be honest. Now, we do have 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing directly out in like a 65-degree game, no precipitation. So, yeah, weather conditions may be contributing to an over here, but I don't know if Cincinnati's offense, something's wrong with that. And then San Francisco, maybe, just maybe, they scored 0 runs. I'm just maybe they were on a hot streak and now they're going to cool off when everyone was sucking their you-know-what, and I was like confused and I was claiming that I was wrong because I thought their offense wasn't that good. Maybe they do return to kind of just middle of the pack type of thing. So it's a maybe. I don't think that you should ever wager your hard-earned bread on a maybe, but just saying, before we jump to an over because of Cincinnati's offense or San Francisco's offense, let's look at the numbers, you know what I mean? So I'm going to lean slightly towards an under in this spot as well as San Francisco. I think I do like San Francisco more than in under, though. I think that, like I said, their offense has been good. I can give them credit, all of that. And then one player prop that I am considering, and it's because Rupp's really good against left-handed batters, and this batter stinks against the curve, which we're going to get a lot of curves from him. I like the idea of, and I think we talked about him yesterday, Jaime Candelario, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Could be a good look today. If I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I'm really emphasizing the fact that we get a lot of, movement pitches, off-speed pitches from Rupp, I think that we could see a decent spot here from him to maybe not even reach base today. A's taking on San Diego. We were spot on with this one yesterday, and I think we go right back to the well today. Dylan Cease on the mound going up against Jeffrey Springs. I would definitely prioritize Dylan Cease in that matchup, and I still think that San Diego's offense is much better. Now, they are going up against a lefty. They're much better at hitting righties, but we're not going to get the craziest pitch mix. You're going to get slider, changeup, fastball from Jeffrey Springs, and he's not all that tremendous against righties. Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, there are some decent righties in this lineup that could potentially get to him. Now, this was a closer than it looks game yesterday, right? I mean, this was I think it was 4-3, and then San Diego scored, and then all of a sudden, right in that same inning, it was like the 7th or 8th, Athletics came back and scored. So yeah, a little worrisome there, but against good offenses like Chicago, we saw this is a Jeffrey Springs that got kind of tagged by them. Now, he pitched well against Seattle, but not a very good offense, right? And you have Dylan Cease, who's off to a decent start this season. His numbers against this squad are pretty good as well, and we know his pitch mix, a ton of sliders, right? Not exactly the best pitch for the Athletics. He's really good against lefties and righties this season. I think that this is a good spot to back Dylan Cease. Now, you look at the bullpen overall, and they're really taxed, which could give you a little bit of reserve or a little bit of pause, because obviously if you are wanting to back this team for the full game, what happens when Cease comes out? So that could be a little concerning. Maybe we look at them on the first 5. That would have been fine to cash yesterday without the later game theatrics and whatnot. So if you just want to back Dylan Cease, I think that is fine. You can get pretty much the same price. I think it's like minus 130 for them. So that'll probably be something we consider. But this is realistically a spot in which I really do like the offense and Cease. So I'm not really peeking at a team total for San Diego. This is more so a total, it's back in both of the sides, offense and defense. So definitely in consideration for a first 5 money line play from them today. Guys, and I guess team total over San Diego would be what I go to in terms of a total play. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. These baseball videos can be long, but man, oh man, I love doing them. And I know that there's so much to talk about, and I can ramble like we're doing right now. That's why they're that long. We can try and get more efficient and whatnot, but you know what? I'm also going to keep doing me to some degree. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but I'm not just going to change up to knock off 15 minutes, because we get a lot of feedback that some people love to be driving to work or in the car all day and listen to a longer video. So yeah, I'll keep in mind the time. I know we get some comments like that, but it seems like the majority likes the length, and they're not always this long, right? Like, we rambled about a couple different things in today's video. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. Catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.